Susan is kicking us off in Des Moines. Susan, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Happy to take it. What's going on?
Hey, so I'm watching about the current hurricane that's heading towards Florida, and yeah, I live in Iowa, so we get lots of tornadoes here. And I was thinking, if something wiped out the power in this area, a big natural disaster, and I didn't have access to my emergency fund, how much cash should I have on hand just in case?
Interesting question. How much do you have in your emergency fund right now?
I have over $1,000 right now.
Okay. What baby step are you in? Have you been following the plan?
I've been following the plan, yeah. So I want to say like 2.5 to 3.
So you still have some debt?
I do still have some debt, but I'm down to less than 15% of my overall available.
Okay. How much debt do you have left?
I have about $15,000.
Okay. And then $1,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean,
I'm not counting my mortgage in that $15,000.
Sure.
That's
That's your consumer debt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you called the right show at the right time because I have the prepper himself, Dr. John Deloney. This man has enough deep freezers to last a century.
Yeah, I'm more into food and things like that more than I am cash. So, hey, this is actually I grew up in Houston, so very similar. Tornadoes and hurricanes all the time, just kind of a part of life. So I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'm going to tell you what my reality is. Is that cool?
Yeah.
What I think is a small amount of cash that number is going to be relative to people. What I consider a small amount of cash and what Dave Ramsey considers a small amount of cash, very different numbers, right? But what would I need to get me a couple of days if I needed to go stay in a hotel, if I need to leave town and drive a couple hours away and put gas in the car, like very basic. If I need to go get some food and groceries and I didn't have access to A, B, or C. It's balancing this. What could happen with, like, what's probably going to happen, right? And as the son of a homicide detective, I was raised to believe it could all come down at any moment because that was my dad's world. And so that's my natural bent, and I've had to train myself over the years to, it could, but it probably won't, right? It probably won't. So I have no problem if you have $1,000 in emergency fund that you keep $250, $500 at home in cash, just as I can go get a hotel and I can drive somewhere and be somewhere for a couple hours, or I could drive 24 hours and get out of here and go stay with a friend, right? That's what we're looking for. The idea that if the whole banking system goes down, the cash is worth the paper it's printed on, right? So we tend to overdraw. We tend to pretend that the world, after some kind of crazy calamity, that the world would exist as it does. And I have a friend who's a banker, and he's like, dude, if the whole world goes down, you're going to be shooting your neighbor for water and barbecuing dog. Like the world as you know it is over, right? So it's not like my cash is going to help. Here's the other side. I don't say I'm a prepper. I'm just someone who's prepared. How about that?
Sure, that's literally a different verb.
But I live in the woods and I have a year's worth of meat on hand right now. So, right. So George would call me a prepper.
I live in a neighborhood, in a society. It's a little different. It's
exactly.
Fine. But there is wisdom in what John said.
But I don't have any cash at my house right now. I don't have $5,000 hidden at home. I've done that before. I don't have that right now. I'm not super concerned about it.
Okay.
There's a spectrum from like a tornado may be coming versus like it's the apocalypse, which I've seen Left Behind. Very scary. Anytime I see a pile of clothes, I'm nervous. I'm like, is this it? Is it happening?
It's gone.
But right. Susan, I think it's wise if you have $1,000 right now in the bank, if you want to take out 500 of that in cash and put it in a fireproof safe, I think there's some wisdom.
If that's going to help you sleep, cool.
Yeah. But I also wouldn't go over. Yeah. Once you're out of debt and you have fully funded,
what you guys thought.
Yeah. Once you get like $10,000 in the bank, maybe you up it to $1,000 in that safe to having cash just in case. Even beyond a natural disaster, sometimes you just need to have cash on hand. Your bank account's got locked up for some reason, and so there's wisdom in that.
During the tornado that came through Nashville here, I don't know when the last time you were in like an event where power went out for a couple of days or something like that, but I was stunned at how fast technology has shifted. People were able to buy things. I was able to buy something with my debit card on somebody's cell phone because they had one of those little plug-in things. It went very, very quickly, is what I'm saying. So I grew up one time when Hurricane Alicia came through. We had nothing for like 10 days, like nothing. We cooked on a camp stove. It was the whole deal. In some parts of the world that still happens. In some parts of our country that still happens. It's very, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel better,
good.
Susan?
I do. I just, like I've got my dry food and my water and blankets and whatever else. And I was just thinking, wow, I don't have any money. Am I going to need to put some of that aside? So I wanted to know what your thoughts were on it.
In my life, the more cash I have at my house, the more money I spend on stuff that I really don't need. It's a self-control mechanism.
But that's why I like keeping it in the fireproof safe. Not just going to sit in the wallet, John. That's how it disappears. But this is a real, John, regardless of what the reason is, natural disaster or something else, there's a lot of fear. Like I get messages probably at least once a week of someone going, but I was watching the news and what if the digital money and currency goes digital, and I saw what if Biden and the IRS is going to start looking at our, and it just spirals out of control.
Right.
And usually they don't say I'm looking at the news. I just say, hey, turn off the news.
Turn it off.
And they go, yeah, you're right.
Turn it off. I've told it on this show, but a buddy of mine who's he's a banking commissioner, and he's just a brilliant mind when it comes to money. I was hammering him one time. Just, what about this and what about this? And I was in one of my anxiety spirals. It's all coming down. And he finally said the magic words that was like a light switch for me. And he looked at me and said, hey, John, I don't have a meteorite plan. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? And he goes, I'm going to put money in retirement. I'm going to put money in this program. I'm going to pay my house off. I don't owe anybody on cars because they're depreciating assets, and it's dumb to borrow money on. He's just so straightforward as a banker. And then he goes, and then if I get hit by a meteorite, I'm going to deal with that on that day because I'm just not going to waste my. And I was like, oh yeah. So if all the monetary system implodes and crashes,
we have bigger issues.
There'll be much bigger
not
issues
having cash
going
on hand.
That's exactly right. That at that point, you know what's going to be your best bet, your best apocalypse bet?
What's that?
Have close relationships with your neighbors. Know your neighbors so that they don't look at you as an enemy. They look at you as somebody to do life with and to get through the next hurdles that y'all are going to have to overcome together. Know your neighbors really, really well. That's your best apocalyptic move.
That's good.
Not having a bunch of cryptocurrency.
They're not going to want that for the apocalypse is.
The zombies cannot be bought.
My neighbors, Gary and Lon, they're not going to be doing much with Dogecoin.
Nope.
But I
they
can
will
give them
bring
some
over a cup
tomatoes
of
from the
sugar.
garden. My neighbor gave me some tomatoes from his garden the other day.
Hashtag
it was a lovely
apocalypse. Right
lovely
there.
moment. Now that we can do it.